Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today, starting off the WWE WrestleMania 33 full show preview. This is going to be one of the first WrestleManias I have not been to since WrestleMania 29. This will definitely be a new experience, seeing how when I didn't go to WrestleMania 29, I still had a fun weekend where my good buddy Freaking Yaya 88, Miguel, came to my house. Zach came over. We watched the show together, as well as I had a few family members. It was a full house packed ordeal. As of right now, I don't have any plans other than hoping nobody's home and I can watch WrestleMania by myself here in the living room. A lot like here I am watching the Yankees versus Rays preseason spring training baseball live on ESPN. Could not get any better, could not get any worse at the same time. But honestly, the way I feel about this preseason baseball game is probably about the same way I feel about WrestleMania this year. There's a few matches on the show that sort of grab me, but nothing that really shakes me. This doesn't even really feel like a WrestleMania. It honestly sort of feels like, I don't want to weaken it, but maybe like a SummerSlam event, and maybe it's not even there as well. There's 13 matches named. That sort of takes it back to like a WrestleMania 6 or a WrestleMania 7 feel, where they just pack it full of these short 2, 3, 4-minute matches. I know that those shows are most of the time 3 to 3.5 hours. This one's probably going to be closer to 8, with the 5-hour show as well as the 3-hour pre-show. But everybody's going to get their time. There's definitely matches on here that I have no interest in at all. Just to put somebody on blast, like Dean Ambrose versus Baron Corbin. But there's some matches on there like John and Nikki versus Miz and Maurice, where I want to see how much realism they're really going to put on it. There's matches like Shane versus AJ that sort of, to me, feel like they could go either way, where these guys can go out there and have a full-on spot fest that just doesn't really put together any kind of a story. But if they're actually able to put a story to the match that lead up to the big spots, really could be a big match. That something can happen to. There's matches that right now, Undertaker versus Roman Reigns, I have no feel to whatsoever, but I know that I'll be gravitating towards the end of this chair and sitting on the end of it, just glaring into the TV come WrestleMania about what is going to happen next. I don't think that anything on this show I'm going to remember when I'm getting ready to go to WrestleMania 34 or when I'm getting ready to see WrestleMania 35. Nothing on this show is really going to grab me like the way I think about WrestleMania 30. When Undertaker lost, I've told that story 1,000 times. Where basically I felt like the ring keeper had made a mistake, and then Justin Roberts reads the name. We see the graphic on the screen. Once we see the graphic, we sort of realize that maybe this was the plan all along, and then just the grief that fell over us. Like, what the fuck are they doing? You got to be kidding me. That Undertaker lost, wondering if this is, the retirement of Taker and we're never going to see him again. Are they going to be doing some sort of a ceremony on Monday Night Raw tomorrow? And next thing you know, they ring the bell, and I think it's the start of the Divas match, and the Divas match is over. I missed the whole thing because I was thinking about The Undertaker and Brock and just wondering, what they were going to do, and then having to gear myself up to get ready for the Daniel Bryan 3-way where he would win the championship in the end. Moments like that I can remember for all of my life. But, this year's WrestleMania, I don't know. I mean, Goldberg beating Brock, Rollins and Triple H having a huge classic, I hope. And then just a lot of matches that I sort of, let's be honest, if, Jericho versus Owens was the main event of Monday Night Raw, I might go out and do something else. I mean that's just the way to put it. I don't know if it's that I'm losing the amount of a wrestling fan I am. Maybe I just don't care as much as I did, but I need something to grab me, and I need something to shake me, a lot like the Nexus did back in 2010, to get me more into wrestling. But, I don't know what that is going to be, but I'm sitting here waiting, watching every Monday, watching most Tuesdays, not watching Wednesdays as much as I once did with NXT. But we've been complaining about too much wrestling for 6 to 8 months now. It ain't going away. WWE's making money. The networks need them, and it is what it is. So I got to keep going on. I don't really know what to expect from this WrestleMania. I know that honestly, to me, there's going to be a lot of things on this card that don't really grab me, but you never know. I mean, when I went to WrestleMania 28 and 27, both of those Randy Orton matches didn't really have me crazy. Punk versus Orton was kind of a weird feeling. I don't know if at that time we'd seen that match before, but it really wasn't circled as this is going to be the match of the night. But definitely with WrestleMania 28, with the Kane match, that was a lot better match than I thought it was going to be. Plus, Cody Rhodes versus Rey Mysterio was a match that I honestly had no feeling about whatsoever, that it was just going to be a match in the middle of the card. I honestly, when I was thinking about, Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan getting bumped, wondering why they didn't bump that match out of there instead. And then Cody and Mysterio go out there and have a fucking awesome match that lives on in WrestleMania history. So anything can happen. It's going to be a fun night of wrestling. Hopefully, if you're staying home, you're going to be like me. You're going to go out, you're going to grab some pizzas, and just sit here and just tweet away your feelings and live it up like I'm there in Orlando. So we'll see. We'll talk about all these matches. I'll warn you now that with 13 videos to make from here on out about the 13 different matches at WrestleMania, they're probably not going to be all filmed at the same time. If you're going to be watching the full show preview, waiting, if wondering why they're not shot in sequence or why I changed my clothes or I'm in different places at the time. So I don't really know if I could sit down and talk about every single match back to back. Some of them will be shorter, some will be longer, but hopefully we'll sit back and we'll have some fun. Hey, what is up, everybody? We're going to be kicking it off with the Tag Team Championships of the Monday Night Raw brand, The Club. We got to be coming in there with the WWE Tag Team titles. We've got Luke Gallows and Machine Gun Carl Anderson. They're going to be defending in a three-way going up against Enzo and Kaz, as well as Sheamus and Cesaro. All three of these are red-hot tag teams. Definitely, I think that Guns and Gallows should have been getting the push in the tag team division for a long time. I guess that WWE thought that the New Day breaking the Demolition's run was more important than getting any other teams over at the time, because we saw all three of these teams, as well as the Dudleys, get beat on pay-per-view month after being built up as guys that had a shot to win the titles. That might be one of the reasons why the New Day won't be featured in this match, is to give some fresh blood to the tag team divisions. Right off the bat, I'll tell you that my prediction for this match is that Enzo and Kaz will be finding a way to win this match and take the tag team titles. The Club has had their little run with the belts as of right now. Cesaro and Sheamus were able to beat the New Day, but I think one of the things to add freshness to the tag team division of Monday Night Raw, they dropped the titles honestly pretty fast to Guns and Gallows, who had sort of became almost like a comedy group, I guess you can say. I know for a while they were running around doing the promos with the doctor's lab coats, holding the testicles in the jar, and trying to do that to be funny. Definitely with the Southpaw Championship Wrestling, with Sex Ferguson, able to be, shot out over WWE's, it wasn't on television, but, be able to shot out into the WWE universe, from being able to see that on the Wrestling Road Diaries, as well as, the interview with Cliff Compton. I honestly thought that was really, really fun, as well as Machine Gun Carl Anderson being able to play Chad Too Bad, who I don't think we'd seen before, but probably from all the time listening to Talking Shop on the MLW network. It's probably like one of the voices that you would have heard if you were on the bus traveling with New Japan from show to show that would piss off AJ Styles so much. These guys are a really entertaining team as well as a really badass team once they get in there. I think they've been really good champions and definitely aren't going to be going away from WWE. Hopefully, we'll be able to see these guys hook up with Finn Balor, maybe even hook up with AJ Styles. Everybody still wears the club attire, even though they're on different brands. We haven't been able to see them show up and try to help AJ out, even though that was sort of hinted at once the draft went down. We saw Carl Anderson say that these brands aren't really going to be able to break up the club. If he ever needs help, we'll just be one phone call away. We haven't seen that yet, but maybe somewhere soon we'll see it. Cesaro and Sheamus definitely have the ability to come in and take this over. They sort of were built in as a tag team for the reason that there was nothing for them to do in the singles division, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is Enzo and Kaz's night. They've really lit everything on fire. And look, Mojo Rawley is on Sports Nation. That's fucking awesome. I tweeted this video out today when I first saw it on Gronk's Instagram, pumping up WrestleMania, but damn, that's pretty fucking cool. I wish he was still involved in a tag team, but I wish Mojo all the luck in winning the Under the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. But Enzo and Kaz, I think they have a shot to really carry the division. They book Enzo as the guy that's really over because of being able to run his mouth and talk in any situation that he can. He's only really had one promo that sort of bombed on Monday Night Raw. Anytime they hold him the stick, he's been able to really carry himself. But I wouldn't be surprised if they just have sort of a short run, giving them the titles on the WrestleMania stage to sort of give NXT the nod of being able to, make somebody, bring them up to the main roster, and then get them over. But then I wouldn't be surprised if these three teams, as they all stay on Monday Night Raw, have good runs with the belt, trading them around. In the tag team division, even though it's not as strong as SmackDown's, it's got a pretty good base right here. The SmackDown's Women's Championship is going to be defended at WrestleMania 33 by Alexa Bliss. Because of all of the backstabbing that has gone on with the heel division of SmackDown, with Mickie James turning on Alexa Bliss, Natalya walking out on Alexa Bliss, Carmella basically saying that she's better than Alexa Bliss, and only having one babyface in that and Becky Lynch. Daniel Bryan as well as Shane McMahon had to step out and basically say that Alexa Bliss was going to be able to have to defend her championship against the entire SmackDown division. But in this, it was said by Daniel Bryan that that Alexa Bliss would have to compete against all available women that are going to be at WrestleMania. The backstory to this is, of course, that Naomi won the Women's Championship by beating Alexa Bliss in a stunning, I guess you can say, underdog moment with her whole Feel the Glow campaign. And then as soon as she won the title, was forced to relinquish it, much like Finn Balor back at SummerSlam because of injury. I have always thought that there was a little bit something funny to the Naomi injury. Of course, that WWE was really thinking that Naomi had what it took to be the SmackDown's Women's Champion. Of course, if you go back to Talking Smack, Daniel Bryan asking if she was going to be able to dance her way down to the stage at WrestleMania, thinking that she was going to be a part of WrestleMania once she got there. Of course, there's been a lot of rumors of WWE going out and trying to sign or at least bring in outside, sort of from the past women's superstars. Probably the biggest name that's been out there in the rumors is that Kelly Kelly. People have thought that Kelly Kelly has even gone as far to sign a 3-year deal to come back to the company. This would be a great way for her to be able to walk into WrestleMania and the SmackDown brand. I honestly think that Kelly Kelly is going to be at WrestleMania. I think that she might be a part of this match. There's no way in hell that I think that Kelly Kelly is going to be coming back to WrestleMania on a 3-year deal. If she does come back for a one-time appearance that becomes 2, maybe becomes 3, I can see that happening, much like the Spirit Squad who came back to SmackDown. No way I think that Kelly Kelly is going to be hanging around WWE for 3 years. She had her run in WWE. She has left. She's gone on to become some sort of a reality television superstar. I honestly don't know if she will keep on going. with that, or if the show is even on television. I'm not sure. Definitely with the show not being featured on E and not being a part of Total Divas or Total Bellas, I don't know if she will be featured on her show with wrestling. I don't think that they would want two different competing reality shows to be there, but maybe if that show did get canceled, was no longer on, I think it was called Wags or something like that, or maybe I'm getting it completely screwed up. 9 out of 10 people won't even know what I'm talking about, or if I made a mistake. But if that show was canceled and is no longer on, hell, maybe they could do something where Kelly could be brought into the company and then put on to Total Bellas, seeing how she does have a friendship with Maurice. They've been featured in a lot of Instagram photos, even when both of them weren't in the company. They are friends who like to hang out. I think that honestly, Kelly was a part of that group with the Bellas and Maurice and Eve, who basically said that they were leaving WWE and would not come back unless WWE sort of had up the game of paying the women superstars more. The Bellas ended up, breaking that agreement and coming back for WrestleMania 29 to be a part of Total Bellas. And there's been a little bit of heat. Maria has even talked about that in the past. But Maria is somebody who could be brought into this match. Asuka is somebody that could be brought up from developmental onto the SmackDown brand, and this would be an easy way to ease her way in. Hopefully they use Asuka just as strong as she was in developmental. I don't want her winning every single match and going on a Goldberg-style streak when she makes it to WWE. That's something that they always do with people from NXT, is they bring them up to the main roster and they go on this 3 or 4 month long undefeated streak that they get built up to the point of now how are they going to lose, and it's almost like they can't lose because they've been built up so strong in the past. I would love to see Alexa win this match. I would love to see Mickie James win this match and have a WrestleMania moment after being gone since WrestleMania 26. Becky Lynch or even Carmella have this. This is one I don't really have a prediction for as of right now. But, check back with me later. I'm sure that I got to make a pick. But as of right now, I got to say I'm in the corner of Alexa Bliss keeping the championship. This is one that, honestly, if you go back and watch my WrestleMania 33 predictions video, where I read the current card that people were saying that they were going to do, after it first came out that they were going to do this mixed tag between John Cena, Nikki Bella against Miz and Maurice, I crapped all over this match, saying that this was stupid. It was a bad way to bring the reality of Total Bellas and Total Divas into WWE and use it on the main stage of WrestleMania. I know that honestly, sometimes with some Divas matches, mostly like Natalya chasing the Divas Championship and things like that, and Nikki Bella's title run, it almost seemed like Total Bellas and Total Divas was using WWE television to sort of write their show. This one right here makes it seem that WrestleMania is being told what to do by E! Entertainment, that this is the match that they want to have. I can honestly tell you that, Miz, other than going after the WWE World Heavyweight Championship for, the belt that's held by Bray Wyatt, this honestly is the best way to go after and use his talents that he's given to us this year. Miz needed to be rewarded with a huge match. Honestly, there's people that crap all over Miz's 2010 WWE Championship run where he main evented WrestleMania 27. He became an afterthought of Rock versus Cena, building up WrestleMania 28. But honestly, to me, I think Miz was awesome during that run. And I understand that, when most guys, they have their run with the championship, they got to be, sort of have the gas taken off them a little bit. Because new, fresh guys, especially at that time when they only had one championship belt, they need to be, brought back and mixed around and things like that. Miz honestly felt like he fell further and further down the card. He became an Intercontinental Champion. They put Ric Flair with him. They tried gimmick after gimmick. They gave him Damian Sandow and made him into a tag team. And he was always entertaining. But honestly, the way that Miz has turned this Hollywood gimmick into being sort of a straight out shoot that he is a real wrestler, that he's entertaining. He is everything that WWE asks him to be, but they're not giving him the right things. Putting Miz against John Cena is almost the same way that they're saying that the AJ versus Shane McMahon match is the best way to congratulate AJ and put him into a high caliber match. I honestly wouldn't have turned down seeing AJ versus John Cena yet once again, even if it is the 4th time we've seen it in a calendar year, because of the fact that it is on the WrestleMania stage and special things happen when guys have great matches at WrestleMania, and it's matches that people honestly really want to remember. But I give it up to Miz. This is honestly the biggest match that they can put him in. He's not going to win it, but this is something that we honestly can get something out of him that is very, very entertaining. Like them spoofing Total Bellas and Total Divas, with having Miz dress up like John Cena, having Maurice dress up like Nikki Bella. We even have Tyler Breeze running around like Nikki Bella. But really, really fun stuff here. The stuff that Miz has been spitting about John is honestly the truth. And it's a lot of behind the stage, behind the scenes sort of things where we've seen Nikki Bella honestly go out and people are like Carmella are delivering promos against her. She's basically said that, it doesn't matter what you say. As long as people remember it and people think it's real, that's where the money's at. That's where people are going to believe that we're crossing the lines of what is WWE and what is real life. And that is what's going on into here. Definitely Nikki and John, they don't care what people have to say about them, just as long as they can go out and have a very entertaining match. The question mark about this match is Maurice. Maurice honestly hasn't had a match since I can honestly guess 2010 when she was the Divas champion on SmackDown. I always thought that Maurice was honestly a very entertaining, very good wrestler in the Divas thing. And then all of a sudden one day she was on Raw. She did the head flip when she got into the ring. Somehow that made her faint. I don't know if she suffered a concussion from whipping her head around or whatever it was, but I always thought she was a good wrestler. And I know that wrestling has changed in the women's division. Now they're not divas anymore, and they have a more real, I guess you can consider, style of wrestling. But I know that she still knows how to do it. I mean, that's what she was trained for. I think she came from Deep South. I'm not sure if she went to FCW or not. I think she debuted on the main roster before they had moved there, but I could be wrong. But this honestly is going to be a barn burner. The whole deal where we discuss, is John going to propose to Nikki once the match is over? It makes sense. If it is going to happen. It's very funny. If you actually go to the listing on WWE.com under WrestleMania.com for this match and read the, I guess you can say the Facebook comment section at the very bottom, there's people who are debating about John debating to Nikki if it's going to happen or not. And these are real life wrestling fans that are honestly debating about if this is the right way for John to do it. Getting engaged is not a very public thing to do. It's supposed to be a very intimate, private thing, and here they are. They're going to be doing it on WrestleMania, which millions of people are going to be watching, as well as showing it to 1 million people on Total Divas as well. Honestly, who knows about Nikki and John? What's real? What's fake? The whole Total Divas thing is that we've been building it up for however many seasons this show has been going on. I'm going to guess it's been going on for 4. I think it debuted around SummerSlam 2013, but it could have been 14. I know that, John the whole time kept telling Nikki that he wanted her to move in. They wanted us to have a life together. But John was not looking to get married. John was not looking to have children. And that was something that Nikki really wanted to do. Sometimes it's actually been a line in the sand that needed to be discussed. That was the whole ending point of season 1, is that, was Nikki going to break up with John over the fact that this is going to happen? Who knows? John could become one of those guys that, they get engaged and just think that is something that's going to keep a placehold on the relationship, and still is thinking that maybe this is something that'll make her happy, but is never looking to actually set the date and have them get married. Who knows? They could get married at WrestleMania 34. They could do a whole play on the SummerSlam 1991, the match made in heaven and the match made in hell, where John has to compete in a match against Dolph Ziggler. And if John wins the match, then John can actually go through with the wedding on the same show. I think that would be a very fun, very entertaining way to bring up the whole Dolph Ziggler versus Nikki deal on Total Bellas and Total Divas that we never got to see play into real life, even though we did see Dolph Ziggler super kick John, and then all of a sudden it just went away and they never talked about it ever again. But Miz has honestly had one hell of a year. He deserves this. I'm looking forward to him climbing the ranks and getting more for what he's doing, because he's knocking out of the park with each and everything they've had him do. Hopefully this match against John can reunite him, get him back into the championship picture when Randy beats Bray and needs somebody to go against, because it was Randy who got beat by Miz when Miz cashed in to win that first championship. No, was it? Fuck, I think it was. Yeah, because it was Randy against Wade on Monday Night Raw. The Nexus ran in. John ran the Nexus off. So then basically it was just straight up one-on-one for Miz to come down and cash in. There was nobody left to interfere in the match. So fun stuff. We'll see what goes down with this one. But I'm taking the money on John and Nikki to get the win. And then I'll take the smart money by doubling down and putting John to ask Nikki to marry him. And then hopefully we get the yes. I don't know what they could do to make a turn off of Nikki, but people out there are actually thinking that it might happen. This is one that honestly I fought and decided that this should have been the WWE Universal Championship match. Honestly, in my opinion, I understand why Goldberg and Brock got the higher nod, but honestly, in my opinion, Goldberg versus Brock is that level of dream match that WWE used to use on each and every WrestleMania when they first had the brand split, where they would put somebody from Raw versus SmackDown, whether if it was Bobby Lashley versus Umaga, whether if it was Shawn Michaels against Kurt Angle. It was sort of bringing two guys together that they really worked hard to keep themselves apart. Brock Lesnar being a part of the main roster, working limited dates throughout the year. Goldberg, a guy being brought back out of the past because of his video game commercial was so popular. But honestly, I think that the championship should always be featured on guys that are going to be on Raw and going to be on SmackDown each and every week. And, Kevin Owens had one hell of a run with the title. And Chris Jericho had one hell of a run being his second banana, the second in charge. He got himself over with the list. They had one hell of a friendship. They caused strife, and they were that group that, a lot like Legacy back in the day for me, kept people watching Raw because of the fact that Owens went on such a long reign with the title, even though a lot of the matches ended via like the Hell in the Cell match, where Chris Jericho just came running down, locked himself inside of the cell, and basically made a Hell in the Cell match into a 2-on-1 handicapped affair. How are you going to win a match like that? They cheated so bad and so blatant. Even one time, Jericho running down and punching Kevin Owens in the face, making him get disqualified and making him the winner where he still kept his championship. Things as cheap as that, made it where I'm gonna keep watching to the point of I want to see these guys lose because I want to make sure that when they get their asses kicked, I want to see it. Well, it seems that these guys have split up due to the whole corniness of the Carnival of Friendship. I think I got that right, but I think it could have been the Festival of Friendship. Something like that, where basically Kevin Owens didn't want to be looked at as a joke anymore. People are thinking that maybe they're splitting off and going their own directions, where Kevin Owens is going to be picking up the gimmick that he took after SummerSlam and actually becoming a Triple H guy with a whole sort of, as you can say, stable of Triple H, Samoa Joe, and Kevin Owens. We haven't seen that come to light, but right before Kevin Owens turned on Jericho, Triple H had a word with him privately, asking Jericho to take a hike, and we'll see if there is anything to play off of there. As of right now, there is no Samoa Joe match, so maybe you have, Samoa Joe and Sami Zayn actually getting inserted into this match, where basically Triple H sends out Samoa Joe trying to help Kevin Owens get the win. Sami Zayn, who's been having a program with Samoa Joe, comes running out to even the odds, and we all know that Jericho is going to be taking a little leave of hiatus after WrestleMania. Maybe you play into that whole deal. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, the program that goes all the way back to PWG and Ring of Honor, and them breaking into the business as the tag team together. That's never going to die. Even though before the brand split, they made it seem like they were going to different brands, basically saying that they were going to have one last fight to even the odds and say that was it. They even came out with the T-shirt that said "Fight Forever." But fun stuff with this match. It's just a shame that the United States Championship has to be sort of an afterthought in this whole deal. Roman Reigns won the United States Championship. I think he did have a break where he lost it for a minute, but then regained it back. But he held it from SummerSlam until WrestleMania. And honestly, like when I talked about the Intercontinental Championship, where it's like every single time somebody wins these secondhand titles, we say this is where they're actually going to put a light on this title. Ever since they've done the brand split, this is where we're going to make this title mean something yet once again. To me, honestly, I thought that this match was going to be in the top 3 matches of WrestleMania because of the fact the Universal Championship is going to be there. Now, with it only being a United States Championship match, I don't think it's going to get dropped to the pre-show, but I don't think that it's going to have a prominent spot on this year's WrestleMania card, even though these guys were heavily featured in the main event each and every week of Monday Night Raw. This belt has made this match sort of unforgettable, or I guess you can say forgettable. I think maybe I said that wrong. But, this should have been a much higher deal. And I think that if the United States Championship wasn't featured in this match, it would be higher. I'm going to take Kevin Owens to get the win here. It's a shame that he has to drop from being United States. He has to drop to being the United States champion. But, fun stuff should come out of this match. And we'll see what happens at WrestleMania 33. Now we're moving on to the big 4 matches of WrestleMania 33. This one is going to be AJ Styles going up against Shane McMahon. AJ Styles was pushing Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon to try and put him in the biggest match possible at WrestleMania. He was honestly hosed out of the WrestleMania co-main event. He had wrestled on SmackDown and won countless matches to become the number 1 contender for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And every time he won a match, whether if it was co-winning the Battle Royal or beating Luke Harper, things kept on coming up where Randy Orton would say, hey, I am the true number 1 contender because I won the Royal Rumble. That was forced Randy and AJ to have a match. Randy Orton came out on top of that match, only for AJ Styles to come into the back, throw the biggest hissy fit in WWE history, getting up into the face of Shane McMahon, basically saying that he was robbed, and this is not how you take care of your best superstar on your best show. And AJ has done everything to put SmackDown in the light of not being the B brand anymore. I think AJ has gone out week after week having great matches, whether it's on television or on pay-per-view or even carrying the house show market, showing basically that WWE messed up a couple of years ago and they passed on him when TNA let him go. He's proving to the North American market with TNA and WWE that he was one of the greatest wrestlers, and for them to pass on him and not bring him in, and even have the talk of lowballing him, telling him that, it's WWE taking a gamble on him. He would have to go to developmental for 2 years. He busted his ass. He went to New Japan, quickly became able to be seen as the best wrestler in the world, main eventing shows and leading the Bullet Club. I think the world of this guy. And honestly, a lot like the John Cena, Miz, Maurice, and Nikki Bella match. This is one that honestly, when I first saw it, I groaned about it a little bit. I think that honestly, when it comes down to it, this match needs to tell a story and does not need to go out there and try and be the quick, high-flying, let's see how many spots we can get in 10 minutes sort of deal. Honestly, in my mind, Undertaker versus Shane McMahon last year at WrestleMania 32 inside of the Hell in the Cell shit the bed. It was not a great match. It was not monumental. It was not something that people want to remember. Honestly, it will not go down as the worst Hell in the Cell match in WrestleMania history. Thank you, Boss Man and The Undertaker. But it is honestly going to be looked at as more than likely a very, just didn't mean anything match to the show at all. When it comes down to it, I think that this match can be very good, but honestly is a very gamble of being something that is just not needed at all. I do like the argument that was made that, when you put AJ Styles against Shane McMahon, it does give him a better match than, what else was out there. I mean, trying to do some sort of co-branded SmackDown versus Raw. You've got AJ Styles, you've got Samoa Joe, you've got Sami Zayn, you've got a few guys that as of right now that are looked at as a higher talent than the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, but, nothing really that would have, I made a video a while back when it was rumored that they were going to do AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe, and one of the reasons why I really wanted to have that match was the comedy for the hardcore fans that AJ Styles and Samoa Joe busted their ass in not developmental, I apologize, I screwed that up. They busted their ass in TNA. TNA's second home is Orlando, where they film their television week in and week out in the Impact Zone. And here they are coming back down for WrestleMania 33 in Orlando in their own backyard. Basically TNA gave both of these guys the boot. Samoa Joe honestly did ask for his release, but that was only because, before the Beatdown Crew, Samoa Joe really wasn't doing anything. And even in the Beatdown Crew, Samoa Joe was the second banana of that group. And, you go back and you remember that first Bound for Glory challenge where throughout the tournament, Samoa Joe ended up with -5 points. I don't think he won a match the whole time. And a guy like Samoa Joe is one of their, he was honestly one of the most popular guys. Easily one of the best wrestlers they had. And for no apparent reason whatsoever, they just let him lose week after week after week. Samoa Joe is a great champion. He had the great run against Kurt Angle. Maybe one of the things that hurt him more than anything else was Kurt Angle coming into the company and then rushing into the Samoa Joe versus Kurt Angle feud. That did give TNA a boost to lifting them up to where people on the outside were looking in. But honestly, bringing in Kurt Angle, they could have been doing Kurt Angle against anybody, and people would have been watching because that's how popular Kurt Angle was at the time, and people were so surprised that he did make the jump to be there. I honestly, Shane and AJ have already done the table spot with Shane McMahon jumping off the top turnbuckle, going through the table. So I don't know if that means they take that spot away from WrestleMania, but it sort of leaves it to me as what else are they going to be able to do? The backstory to this whole deal is that before this match was named, Daniel Bryan fired AJ Styles. So as of right now, is AJ Styles a free agent? Is he able to leave? Is he just basically showing up on SmackDown each and every week because of the fact that he's been challenged by Shane McMahon to have a match? Because I haven't really heard anything of Shane telling Daniel Bryan or Daniel Bryan himself pulling that back or maybe even firing. Maybe they'll just say it's worked into the contract if they end up doing a contract signing on SmackDown this week. Because this is a big match that people are going to be talking about. So, it's been talked about for a while that AJ will end up on Monday Night Raw because of how good he really has been doing. And I don't want to say that WWE's doubted him, but he's been blowing expectations away. Each and every show, he pushes himself higher and higher up the card. And he had his championship run. He lost it at the Royal Rumble. I would have loved for them to do John Cena versus AJ at WrestleMania. Even do the championship change there, meaning where John Cena took that 16-time reign, tying Ric Flair at WrestleMania, meaning that means something more. Definitely Rick could have been there. They had one hell of a match at the Royal Rumble. I'm not going to take anything away from them. But maybe they're thinking that, tying Ric Flair's record is not as great as beating Ric Flair's record. And maybe that'll be WrestleMania 34 after they do the match made in heaven versus the match made in hell, where, John can get married to Nikki and on the same card, get the 17-time championship before taking off and doing this pistachio commercials and the movies and television shows and all that other stuff. So we'll see with this one. Definitely it deserves to be in that top 4 spot, but this is one that could really break the mold for WrestleMania moments, or it could be honestly really one that just WrestleMania letdowns that just didn't give us what we were looking for. All right, let's get down to it. Let's see whose yard it really is. This one is going to be The Undertaker versus Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns, honestly, is the WWE's #1 big star in their own eye, no matter who has anything to say about it. If you listen to Monday Night Raw, if you listen to pay-per-view crowds, people love to boo Roman Reigns. WWE will always answer back saying that you should be on the local house shows, where basically there's always a loud cheer of fans for Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns always seems to be one of the most over guys there is. They had a huge opportunity putting him up against the largest legend inside of WWE that seems to come back each and every year, bigger, better, and stronger than ever, in The Undertaker. I don't think there's one fan in Orlando that will be booing Undertaker come WrestleMania Sunday. Honestly, to me, Roman Reigns, ever since the fans have really turned on him, basically saying that Roman went through a long change of WWE shoving him down our throats, making it seem that he was the biggest and baddest guy of them all. To me, honestly, I'm not sure what really put fans over the edge. But to me, when I think most fans noticed was the CM Punk interview on The Art of Wrestling with Cole Cabana, where CM Punk told the story of the TLC match of the 3-on-1, The Shield versus CM Punk, where agents really wouldn't tell CM Punk what they wanted him to do in the match other than make Roman Reigns look strong. And CM Punk kept coming with the answer, why not just let him beat me? There's 3 of them and 1 of me. He was openly asking to lose the match because that made more sense than anything. Why not just let him win? That pay-per-view was a really weird pay-per-view. If you go back and remember, there's 2 separate handicap 3-on-1 matches. I believe Daniel Bryan took on the Wyatts 3-on-1 on that show, where basically the build-up was that CM Punk and Daniel Bryan were being a short-lived tag team going against people on Monday Night Raw, and the only way to even the odds and keep them shut up was to do the 3-on-1s. Daniel Bryan lost his, CM Punk won his, and I think that was one of the moments where everybody just sort of said, what the fuck? This doesn't make any sense, and just boo from there on out. We don't really have a hard-on stipulation for this match, but Roman Reigns said in his promo 2 weeks ago that he was going to beat Undertaker to the point where Undertaker retired. I don't know if that's a metaphor of basically just saying that, Undertaker, who only has lost at WrestleMania once, being WrestleMania 30 against Brock Lesnar, is going to be so humiliated that he won't want to come back, and this will transfer the yard from Undertaker to Roman Reigns. To me, honestly, this is a very old sort of saying that Undertaker used to have. I mean, I think he was saying this back in 2001 and 2002 when he was still Undertaker the Biker. I can't really think of him calling this his yard since then. So whoever pitched this in the writing room has probably honestly been there for a long time, or just Vince is saying, I want to do Undertaker versus Roman, and nobody in the room had, a saying of what they wanted this match to be built around and why these guys were going to come together. To me, honestly, Roman being able to just go on full on heel wouldn't have made a whole lot of sense here. It's not like anybody was really clamoring for the Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman matches that happened on Monday Night Raw and at Fastlane. But it doesn't make any sense, especially for the push of Braun Strowman. Braun is a guy that has been, beating guys mercifully left and right. He did not lose on Monday Night Raw the second time, but he definitely was being set up to lose before Undertaker come out. This week on Monday Night Raw, definitely we're going to be getting some sort of a face-to-face. They're probably not going to have them touch in WWE's the last show before WrestleMania, the go-home show, sort of tradition of not really giving anything away for free, making you want to see WrestleMania. But Undertaker is taking a spear. Roman Reigns is taking the choke slam. It's hard to pick against Undertaker at WrestleMania. But, it's one of those things where he's already lost the streak, so it's not there. If you go back and you watch my WrestleMania 32 predictions, I'm sure that I predicted Undertaker to lose the match against Shane, because it was Shane. But because this is Roman Reigns, because this is The Undertaker, I can't pick against Taker in this match at WrestleMania. It makes more sense for Undertaker to beat Roman. It's sort of, once it's all said and done, extend the hand. Roman Reigns in defeat, be able to take the gesture from Undertaker as a sign of respect, knowing the Taker's not going to be around. We didn't see him as much as we saw him last year. We saw him show up on SmackDown. We saw him a few Raw appearances, but it's not like he was doing the whole Brock Lesnar tour like he was doing a few years ago with the SummerSlam match in New York, the Hell in the Cell in LA, and then I think that Survivor Series was in Atlanta, but I'm not quite sure. But if they do the handshake deal, I think it's sort of cheap that they if they do the heel turn there, where Roman would sort of do the Chris Jericho WrestleMania 19 thing and just sort of kick Undertaker in the nuts. They could do that, but to me, honestly, if they wanted to get this match more over, it would make more sense if they would have done the heel turn on the way, so that way he could have beat Undertaker and then taken the rub from beating Undertaker and moving that forward into the next few pay-per-views and making him the biggest, baddest dude on the block. It could go either way, but I'm picking Undertaker to get the win here and show the sign of respect to Roman and WWE, hoping that is what's going to take for get him over with the fans. All right, this one is going to be the main event of the evening. WrestleMania 33's main event is going to be the Universal Champion Goldberg going up against Brock Lesnar. And here we are, we're probably going to talk about this match longer than this match is actually going to happen inside of the ring. WrestleMania 20's event, they honestly had a good style match. I want to say that it went about 10 minutes. I haven't watched it, honestly, in a really long time. But in that match, basically, it's very famous because of the fact that crowds in Madison Square Garden turned on this match. Huge. Nobody wanted to see this. It was well publicized in mainstream news as well as wrestling news that Brock Lesnar was leaving WWE due to the fact that he didn't like the travel and felt that he could maybe make it playing professional football, and had an open invitation from the Minnesota Vikings head coach Mike Tice at the time to try and play on the line for the Vikings. He went to open tryouts. He did not make the team, but honestly did stay with the team longer than many people thought he was going to make it. From there, Brock went back to wrestling, as well as, I believe, trying to get into professional boxing before settling down on MMA, which then launched him into UFC, which then brought him back to WWE. Goldberg's line basically was the day that WCW closed, he was called by Time Warner and offered a buyout on his contract, where I believe they offered him less than 50% of his deal, where he basically told Time Warner over the phone to go fuck themselves. Goldberg would wait until the deal finally ended up and then signed a one-year contract to work for WWE under the understanding that he would be having a lot of wrestling matches with The Rock. The Rock came in, they did the one match right off the bat, what ended up being the only match that they would have. Because at the time, Rock was splitting time between WWE as well as making movies in Hollywood. Rock's career really started to take off, and Rock wasn't seen that year until WrestleMania, when he came back to do the match, him and Mick Foley against the members of Evolution minus Triple H. Goldberg's year in WWE without The Rock basically was not what he thought he was going to be out to be. He battled Triple H, on screen and off screen, as well as Vince McMahon, to the point where the contract was over. It wasn't even negotiated if Goldberg would come back again. WWE didn't want to have Goldberg. Goldberg didn't want to have WWE. And they both went their separate ways. Goldberg, of course, would live on making television shows about, cars, I believe, for the Speed Channel, as well as a podcast, or Podcast One, where I don't even know if he still makes it anymore. I can honestly tell you that I don't hear commercials for it. I don't hear hype about it. All that I know is that from the people who gave it a chance, basically were hoping that Goldberg was going to talk about wrestling, and he never talked about wrestling. It was almost like for Goldberg, it was a sore subject that nobody wanted to bring up. But there was always that rumor that would pop up that Goldberg was wanting to wrestle one more match to be able to show his kids what he had done, what made him famous, and basically what was paying the bills. Goldberg always did, autograph shows where he would reach out to the fans, and he was always a really nice guy. To the people who showed him respect, he would show them respect back, much like Bully Ray is. If you've ever met Bully Ray at a WrestleCon event or any sort of autograph signing or something like that, Goldberg is a guy that knows what butter is bread. And for him to go to those autograph signings, he made a lot of money to do those. And for the people that wanted to pay and be a part of them, he always treated them with a lot of respect back. Goldberg got the chance to do the video game commercial, and then from the huge video response to the video, Vince realized it might be time to bring him back. And when they brought him back, it was a lot bigger than I think WWE even thought it was going to be. They thought that maybe this would be something that they could build Survivor Series around as a one-off. Well, the one-off ended up being, he did the Rumble. He did Roadblock. Did he do Roadblock or did he do Fastlane? To get those ones mixed up. But then he ended up coming back and doing this WrestleMania match. This is the one match that I honestly thought that he was going to do. I didn't think we were going to get the other ones. I thought that they would sort of bring him back on Raw, and they would build up to the point where they would do the WrestleMania match, because WrestleMania is always where the money's been. But for the WWE to be smart and to put Goldberg on those other shows, it sort of gives those other shows a little bit of meaning for the people that really want to see Goldberg. I've never really been the biggest fan of his. I don't even like him being champion right now, for the same reason that I don't like Brock Lesnar being champion. I don't like being one of those guys that says WWE house shows has to have a championship match, but honestly, I love WWE house shows, and even though I didn't miss out on going to a house show without a championship match, I know that they build everyone as being stars and anybody can main event a show, but when the title's there, it makes it seem like it's a big deal to me. But for a WrestleMania main event, I don't think this is going to be one that people really remember as, good old WrestleMania 33, Goldberg versus Brock, the year of 2017. It's going to be one that is honestly skipped over in the history of time. WrestleMania 27 was a good main event. People don't talk about Cena versus The Miz. It is what it is. I think that Goldberg is going to lose this match. I think that honestly, if WWE and Goldberg break off their current deal right now, I don't want to say that they're going to be losing money, but I think that honestly, they got to find something for Goldberg to do. I don't really want to see him as the guest GM of Monday Night Raw. I don't think that Goldberg would even want to do that. I don't think he wants to be on Monday Night Raw week in and week out now that Mick Foley is fired. But and I don't really want him to have to come back, 6 months from now and have a match like Sting did after WrestleMania 31, where he wrestled against Seth Rollins for the WWE Championship. We've already seen him be champion. I don't really know how you build Goldberg as having a dream match, but that's why they have creative. I would love to see Goldberg come back, maybe after SummerSlam, and maybe bring some hype to the after SummerSlam lull that they go into with Night of Champions and Hell in the Cell, and basically where they just run out of gas come TLC in December, and they're just hoping for the Royal Rumble to come along and give people that glimpse that WrestleMania is right around the corner. So I'm picking Brock in this one. Brock, finally got some offense, after losing at Survivor Series and then, being thrown out and eliminated at the Royal Rumble. He's been able to hit the F5. We haven't seen Goldberg do anything since then. They are going to be having the face-to-face, but in, WrestleMania go-home shows history, we've never seen guys touch in a long, long time. So I'm guessing these guys are just going to look at each other. They'll have the huge row of security making sure that these guys don't get anywhere near each other. We've already seen this now that I think about it before the Survivor Series, where people thought that Goldberg actually got hurt wrestling against the Extras, but that's why the match lasted so short. But 8 minutes here. We'll see if the match goes longer than this. I'm hoping that this is about how long it goes. About an 8-minute match at WrestleMania, and we'll see what goes down. I'm picking Brock and taking the money. For some reason here, WWE actually has Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship as the big one, the main event of WrestleMania 33. This is the highest built match on the card. I do not think that this will main event the show. I think this will be somewhere tucked down in between. I don't know if maybe they think of the WWE Championship still as being the number one belt in the company, seeing how the Universal title was just named, even though it's on Monday Night Raw, just after SummerSlam. I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere the belts get swapped, a lot like in the draft when Batista and John Cena were flip-flopped, and basically the WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight title switched back in, I guess that would be 2005, maybe 2006, somewhere in the lineage back then. But this match to me honestly has a big, just question mark after question mark. I guess this is the ultimate swerve, Vince Russo style storyline that I sort of had thought that WWE had put behind them. But you have to go back to the fall. Back before No Mercy, 2016, when Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton first started feuding. Honestly, I don't even remember what started this feud, but what seemed like it was just going to be another match on the No Mercy 2016 show ended up being the main eventer after, as what was passed around throughout the wrestling news sites was because of the fact that they were doing a presidential debate. And WWE felt that people weren't going to want to watch the No Mercy show. They decided that they were going to push the main event to being the first match of the show, putting John Cena versus Dean Ambrose versus AJ Styles for the WWE Championship as the first match, and then just sort of play on the rest of the show from there. They said that was the main event, even though it was the first match, and gave John Cena credit when he broke the record for most main events in WWE history or whatever it was. But, to me, honestly, the main event is what closes out the show and sends you thinking, I wonder what's going to happen on SmackDown. In that match, Luke Harper returned, costing Bray Wyatt to win the match over Randy Orton. Randy controlled most of the match, but just didn't come out as the winner there. And then, they go out of that show. They do a series of matchups where it's Randy Orton and Kane and going up against Luke Harper and Bray Wyatt. Out of the middle of nowhere, Randy Orton hits Kane with an RKO and joins up with the Wyatts. It's still never been revealed, but I was sort of kept thinking that when it came down to it in the end, that Randy and Luke were both in this together. Seeing how they both popped up around No Mercy back then. But, since then we've seen Randy and Luke Harper fight, and I guess that wasn't just them play fighting and going back and forth at it. They were really going, and it was only Randy who had the master plan, I guess you can say, to take down Bray Wyatt by burning down the house. And that's what happened, is they won the tag team championships, and after losing them, everyone was entered into the Royal Rumble, where Randy Orton came out on top. For me, as soon as Randy won the match, the announcers were talking about the fact that Randy Orton had been freed. He was no longer under the spell of the Wyatts, and they kept going with the storyline, with Randy showing up on SmackDown, basically saying that because of his alliance to Bray Wyatt, he was not going to take the championship shot at WrestleMania. And to me, that was sort of like somebody came up with that in the meeting for SmackDown. All of a sudden, they're like, oh, it's a good idea, let's write that in. Even though you go back and you watch the Rumble and you see that celebration, Randy is nowhere under the spell of anybody, and he's just doing full-on babyface responses to everything that's going down. And to me, it was honestly like he was never fully fledged into playing that character. And I don't know if that's what the character was or what, but that's why I still don't buy into it till today. because of the fact that Randy turned down the shot at WrestleMania, Bray Wyatt gave him the keys to the castle where he would show up the next week and burn the motherfucker to the ground. And that was supposed to kill off Sister Abigail, which gave the powers to Bray Wyatt. But much like, with WWE and the history of The Undertaker, even though the urn is destroyed, there's always a way to go back in history with Marty and Doc McFly and, save the urn and, just sort of keep the storyline going. They're not going to kill off Bray Wyatt. But I really don't know what to think here. I would think that they're going to give Randy the championship. Every time Randy's in the title picture, it always seems like he hasn't had the title in such a long time. I would love for Bray to get the win. When Bray won the championship at Elimination Chamber, there was so